What's going on, everyone? My name is Twig, and today we are reviewing Ghost of Tsushima, the Director's Cut Edition, which recently came to Steam about a week ago. It was originally released on PlayStation back in 2020, I believe. For the past week, I've been no-lifing this game, not really trying to rush through it, but simply because I couldn't put it down. The game is literally that good. I'm super stoked that the second game is already in the works, but before we get into the review, I do want to say I've been writing written reviews on Steam for over a year now, covering games that I 100%, which mostly means getting all achievements, but in a lot of cases it shows me all that a game has to offer, which is true in the case of Ghost of Tsushima. Starting at the beginning of this year, I have been making review format videos to post here on YouTube to go along with my written ones, and it's been a fun ride so far. I am shooting for 700 perfect games on Steam, so if you'd like to follow along on my journey, or you just like talking about video games, feel free to add me on Steam, or subscribe here on YouTube. Without taking up any more of your time, let's talk about this awesome game. The setting of the game takes place during the Kamakura era. The Mongol Empire, led by General Khotun Khan, who is the cousin of Kublai Khan, is invading the Japanese island Tsushima. You are brought right into the action, taking the role of Lord Jin Sakai, who is a local samurai. Fighting through the invaders, following your uncle Lord Shimura, you're outnumbered but still trying to repel the Mongol army. The battle ends in absolute disaster, with all the samurai killed, Lord Shimura captured, and you severely wounded and left for dead. You are found and revived by a local named Yuna, who tells you the island has fallen to the invaders. With not a lot of time to spare, you recover your sword and set out on your journey to protect Tsushima Island. Right at the beginning of the game, you are able to choose your difficulty between easy, medium, hard, and lethal. All of the achievements don't depend on any certain difficulties, so you can pick whichever one you want. Lethal sounding pretty brutal to play on, with just a few sword strikes taking you out. As we talk about the gameplay, I'm going to try to avoid talking about major spoilers involving the story, but I may show some video footage from later quests, DLC footage, that sort of thing. Quests are referred to as tells in this game. You have your main tells that take you through the overlying story, and these side tells that add backstory to the characters around you and to the people of Tsushima. Mythic tales are special ones that are really cool and usually give super cool rewards. You can track all of these in your journal, which you will need to keep up with for the completing all tales achievement. The overall map is split up into 3 pieces that you unlock during Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. As the story progresses, more of the map is opened up for you to explore and do tasks in. There are Mongol territories that you will need to liberate in each of the 3 areas, where you can sneak in or barge right through the gates ready to fight. The scenery and terrain is vastly different in each area, which keeps the feel fresh and new. The graphics are insane too. The game promotes taking photo-style screenshots by putting in a built-in photo mode into the game that you can access by hitting the right button on the D-pad. There are a ton of options to create some beautiful looking photos in-game. There were many moments throughout my playthrough where I was riding through a field or climbing a mountain to get to a shrine, and I found myself in awe of the view around me. Your main weapon is your katana sword and your tanto blade. You can deck out your main weapon with charms that give your character buffs, such as the ability to slowly recover health outside of combat, gain more materials when collecting, increase your melee damage, health, that sort of stuff. There are a ton of them to choose from, and you collect those by completing various tasks throughout the game. You can also change the look of your katana by equipping different sword kits that you find at shrine locations all over the map to help match your armor that you're wearing. Speaking of armor, you have your helmet piece, face piece, and body piece. You can mix and match all kinds of different sets to help make your character stand out amongst the others. And there are a ton to pick from. As far as range combat goes, you have your bow, which you can have a half or long bow. You have throwable options like sticky bombs and throwing knives. Then later on you get the option to equip a blow dart. There are a ton of throwable options as well to help you sneak around enemies and get stealth kills. Lastly, in the final tab of the gear section, you have accessories where you can manage your horse armor or your flute songs that you can use at secret points in the game for special hidden achievements. As you complete tells or help out the people of Tsushima, you fill up your reputation meter, which rewards you with technique points to spend on different abilities. Choose from samurai techniques to aid you in battle, like deflection and invasion, or invest points into ways to help you explore the island. During combat, you are able to hot swap combat stances on the fly, depending on the enemy type that you're facing. This is where the game really shines in my opinion. The combat stances keep combat fresh as you unlock the different ones, and it makes you feel like a true samurai by the end of the game when you face enemies that change weapons mid-fight in the DLC. Stone stance, water, wind, moon. The one you pick depends on if your opponent has a sword and shield, spear or halberd, or if they are a big brute type of enemy. Upgrading these stances will help you deal more damage and add extra movesets to your repertoire. Lastly, without spoiling too much, later in the game you unlock the ability to take the ghost stance, which you get the option of activating after you kill so many enemies in a row without being hit. Level up your combat tactics to help you avoid taking fall damage, help slow time when shooting arrows, or even unlocking the ability to assassinate enemies through doors. Ghost weapons are super cool and useful. Smoke bombs, sticky bombs are probably the two that I use the most. As you fight bad guys, you can see your health bar in the bottom left along with your resolve meter, which you build up over time. You can spend your resolve points in a couple different ways, such as healing or doing a super samurai move to take out enemies. There are a certain number of duels that you can find as you play where it becomes a one-on-one battle with your opponent, usually someone of high stature. These fights make for some super sick sword battles where you can parry or perfect dodge their attacks to deal extra damage when you follow up attack. And then quite the opposite, when you pull up to a band of Mongol warriors, you have the option to do a standoff where you can time one swing attacks to take them out one by one up to 5 strikes. It really helps defeating a big group of enemies quick and changes the pace of combat a little bit. Of course, there are parts of the game where you need to sneak around and get stealth kills by assassinating enemies without being seen or heard, and the detection system feels honestly really good. As you explore Tsushima, you will come across a ton of different sites on the map, from pillars of honor, lighthouses, Shinto shrines, hot springs, Inari shrines, bamboo strikes, haikus. There is just so much extra stuff that you can find and complete to help boost your character's resolve meter or maximum health, or just to get cool stuff. I really like the bamboo strike mechanic. These were super fun to complete, where you have to hit a certain button combination in a certain amount of time to beat. There are 3 stages to them, with each getting longer. Very rewarding when you finally get them. The hot springs and haikus are just nice to come across because they give you a little moment to step back and chill on your journey across the island. It's always nice to come across a pillar of honor because that means you get a new look for your sword, and you will need to locate and light all of the lighthouses for an achievement, but don't worry, the main story takes you near most of them. The Shinto shrines are like a parkour lover's dream. Some of these climbing puzzles are insanely cool and fun to do. The Inari shrines have you following a fox to a destination where you are rewarded with a new charm and some legend reputation. Along with all of these gameplay collections, you have a ton of pickup collectibles like singing crickets, which reward you with new flute songs to play, Mongol artifacts, records, and banners that you can turn in for armor dies. Overall, the game ran really good for me. There were a few lag spikes throughout my 80 plus hours in the game, but nothing bad at all. No crashes, but the game is not currently supported on Steam Deck, so I won't be including a section for that in this review. But I will say the graphics are absolutely amazing. The weather changes and the day-night time cycle with clouds and fog, all that makes for a really captivating gameplay experience to help put you in the world around you. The only gameplay bug I ran into was sometimes whenever I'd get into a standoff situation, pressing the triangle button on the controller wouldn't work, which would force me to take a hit. It happened every so often, and I think it's just a PC port problem because others have said they have experienced the similar problems even while using mouse and keyboard. It wasn't a big deal, but that's the only really thing that I ran into. The port overall is absolutely amazing, and I did want to mention that with this Director's Cut Edition, which is all that the PC players have as an option to play and buy, but all the DLC is included for free. Originally, the game was released on PS4, and they had the option to upgrade their game for a small fee, I think, or something like that to get all the extras. But when they came out with the Director's Cut Edition, all of this cool extra stuff is included, which is a huge win for Sucker Punch, who are the developers of the game, and a huge win for the fans as well. After you get to a certain point in the game, I think somewhere in Act 2, you come across a person who is willing to take you to another island. This will start the Iki Island DLC that was released, and you can't come back right away until you get so far in that quest line. The DLC as a whole is awesome. The area terrain is a lot more vertical, and the size is about like another act section from the original map. I won't go into too much detail here, but you dive deeper into Jin's past, which is something I was super interested in after completing the main game. You are also introduced to new unique characters and are given new gameplay mechanics that help you traverse the island. There is a dueling tournament to take part in, animal sanctuaries to play your flute at, which involves a super cool PlayStation controller mechanic if you're using a DualSense controller, and archery challenges for you to compete in. Some really cool stuff was introduced with this DLC, and it was a great experience to ride all over and find all the hidden treasures. Legends Mode was a new game mode that was released as DLC as well. There were new achievements added for this too, which kind of took me by surprise after I had already started playing the game, since this was a single player game with online achievements added. Going into this mode after beating the main game, I didn't really know how to feel about it, but by the end, I loved it. You can choose between 4 different character classes to play: Samurai, Hunter, Ronin, or Assassin. There is a story mode option with 9 missions that you can play solo or with a friend in co-op. You can hop into the survival game mode where you and up to 3 other players try to survive 15 waves of enemies with the option to pick from 6 different maps. And also there's a PvEVP style game mode called Rivals, where you play with friends or online with complete strangers through matchmaking to beat another team by slaying enemies faster than them. If you're looking for a challenge, you can take on a 3-chapter raid after you get your item level high enough. I played with my brother through all of the Legends content. We went through the first 9 missions together on Bronze difficulty, which gets your item level high enough to go through on Silver, which then gets you high enough level gear to go through the missions on Gold. And then Gold will take you high enough to the minimum requirements for the raid, where you get even higher level gear to do Nightmare missions. Me and my bro spammed the Severed Hearts mission over and over to get each character class to level 20 for the achievement, and to get gear high enough to do the raid. Honestly, it was insanely fun to play through each of the 4 classes, learn their special abilities, deck them out with cool armor, and unlock all their techniques. The Samurai was probably my favorite, followed by the Assassin, the Ronin, and the Hunter, which is the order that I leveled all of them up, funny enough. We farmed the first mission more times than I can count for hours at a time. I think we ended up getting the runtime down to below 8 minutes on Gold difficulty, which was pretty nuts, but extremely fun, and it created some memories that I'll never forget. The raid experience was honestly quite pleasant. I put together a squad from the Ghost of Tsushima official Discord, and we completed it in about 3 to 3.5 hours, I think. Throughout the 3 chapters, you and your team complete puzzles and kill enemies to get through stages in the chapter. Dying doesn't reset your progress all the way, thank goodness, but it does send you back to the last checkpoint. I've had a little bit of raid experience from World of Warcraft, and I know my bro did raids in Destiny, but honestly, I was quite pleased with the raid. Chapter 2 is definitely the hardest, as it requires a good bit of team communication and faith. Then the boss battle in Chapter 3 was sick and made for a great ending. 77 achievements in total, and after getting them all, I feel kind of sad to be done. The experience as a whole, from main game story, to side tales, to liberating all the Mongol territories, to collecting and finding all locations, to doing all the Legends content online with my bro, and then finally completing the DLC Iki Island, I can say obtaining all achievements in this game isn't hard by any means, but it may take you a while. I have around 80 hours in this game, with more coming because I still want to do some more online play, and I still need to record some gameplay footage. The last achievement I obtained was to beat the game on New Game Plus, where there is a slight bump in difficulty, but not really. You have access to skip cutscenes, and you only have to do the main questline tells, so it's not too bad. I completed my final run after playing straight through it for about 5.5 to 6 hours, finishing up around 3 in the morning. This is one of those games I am thankful I decided to play. It really wasn't on my radar until about a week before launch. I didn't really see much gameplay at all when it originally released back in 2020, so I went in blind. I loved everything about this game. The only thing that maybe frustrated me a little in the beginning was not being able to skip through the dialogue text, since I tend to read fast and I played the game with Japanese voice but English text. But as I got later in the game, I appreciated the cutscenes and experiencing the story to the fullest. Going through NG Plus and being able to skip felt like a treat. The DLC, all of it, was awesome. I loved all of the content, tells, new mechanics, new area, online co-op play, the raid, everything. The base game was perfect. It had tear-jerking moments during the story, combat that made me feel like a true samurai, especially during the big battles. The music I absolutely loved. I could go on and on. In my written review on Steam, I gave this game a 10 out of 10, and like I said before earlier in the video, I can't wait till the second one because I'm going to be all over it on day one. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to hear my review of Ghost of Tsushima, especially since this will probably be one of my longer videos so far. If you made it this far, let me know if you like these longer videos or not. I am currently working on a few titles that have piqued my interest, so add me on Steam to see what I'm playing, or join the Steam Curator group to check out very short gaming reviews. Everything will be linked down below. This was a very fun game to 100% and a very fun review video to make. If you would, give this video a like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and I will catch you in the next one. Suggest any other titles to me through a message or in the comments as well. There will be a small gap coming up where I may be able to fit a game in or two. Okay, you all have a great weekend. Peace.